Simply a Stewart, and I am back with what worked and what didn't work for my first/second graders. So if you're a homeschool mom, you probably know what I'm talking about, but my girls are all in pretty much a set grade. They might vary a little bit. My son, on the other hand, was not really quite ready to start school when we started, and that was right around the break time that we were going from a cyber to a traditional homeschool model. And I really wasn't going to start him. If he would have traditionally gone anywhere else, I would not have started him. But my husband was really eager to get him started. I didn't want to push him, so we kind of just started with some stuff, and he's just moved along at that same pace and not been in a set grade. So he is just turned, and we're in summer now, just turned 8. So that gives you an idea of his age level. But I'm going to share with you guys what we did this year, what worked for him, what didn't work, and hopefully that will be able to help you guys in picking out your curriculum for your student. Maybe you guys will see something that may work for you or may not work, just based on the things that I share. So the first thing we did was the 1-year daily devotional by the Word of Life, and my son loved this. Now, I shared in my other videos that my daughters did not quite care for it, but my son really enjoyed it. Now, I'm going to show you kind of back here in the back where we didn't quite finish. This is the setup, and each day has a verse and then just has a little square of some kind of thing. It was not just sitting and reading and discussion, which he does do a devotion at night with his dad. But it was more hands-on, more of a game. You can see, like, here was a decoding puzzle, those types of things, and he really enjoyed doing this. It was the first thing he has to do every single day. Now, the only thing I didn't like about it was that it had Saturday and Sunday in it, and not that that's a problem, but we only school 4 to 5 days a week. We don't, I mean, life is learning, and we learn on Saturdays and Sundays, but we don't do any book work on Saturdays and Sundays typically. And he has a little bit of OCD, and he really struggled with whether to do the next day or to try and do, you know, the correct day of the week. And so that, like, threw him a little bit. If you have a kid who's really OCD, or maybe they have, like, a diagnosis that really makes it difficult for them to do that kind of thing, we have some friends whom that might not work for. We kind of just pushed through that. It wasn't his favorite thing, but it wasn't the end of the world either. But he really, truly enjoyed this. We're not using it next year just because we were trying something different, but I would 100% go back to this model for him. We're going to try something that him and his sister can do on the exact same level. These do work in, like, in correspondence to each other. So she had the kindergarten level, and so like the first and second, third and fourth and fifth and sixth grade, they all work on the same, like, verse every day, and we could have done it that way. We just didn't. So we're just gonna try something different next year. But he loved this. I would highly recommend it to anybody, especially if your kid's not a, like, sit down and just discuss things kind of kid. He wants to do something. So that was really neat. Now on to reading. My son struggles with reading, for anybody who doesn't know, but we did start the All About Reading this year. We had to finish our blue book and then move into our green book, and we have not finished our green book yet, but he really made some big strides in his reading this year. I really saw it. He just wasn't quite ready, and I don't think he's still quite ready. I'm thinking right around now he's, I've seen a lot over the summer with him too, so I'm excited. But he really did not love this program, but he didn't hate this program, and he did enjoy, like, the cutting activities and things that came in the book. He did not like all of the pages that had, like, the words he had to read, like the sight words, the word practice for reading the story. So I did not like, and maybe I did it wrong, but when I read through it, I didn't see anything more than that, that they were reading the story mostly only once, according to the teacher's manual. If you guys have used this and I missed that, tell me down below, because that worked okay for my daughter. She did this, but he needed to read those stories more than once, and so we just went ahead and added that in. But it takes him a long time to read, and so it did make this process a little bit longer, but he did make huge improvements with this. So we're going to stick with this in the upcoming years and finish this level at least, and probably move on to the next. So, and then he also did Explode the Code. Now, I believe he's Yeah, he finished level 3. He's on level 4, maybe even level 5 now. But this is what he seems to love. Honestly, if he could do nothing but read books and like practice sight word type books and do this, I think that's what he would do. But it just doesn't have enough of the rules in it for him to truly be getting him. He made improvements on that he did not make with this. So, but we keep using this. He likes it. On a day he's truly struggling with All About Reading and he just can't do it anymore, this is a great filler. And so he enjoys doing this. He will do it extra, even if he's done All About Reading. He doesn't fight about doing this. So we love Explode the Code. It is hands down one of our favorite curriculums, and I would definitely recommend using it for anybody. Let me see if yeah, everything in here is filled out, but anyway. So you can see just they have to kind of read the word and match it to the picture. It's just very simple, and he really, like I said, he really enjoys this. Then we have math. Okay, so I love Horizons. If it were up to me, my kids would probably all do Horizons math the whole way through, but it's not all about me. It's not all about my learning style. It is about the individual student and their learning style. So I start all of my kids on Horizons. Some proceed with it and some change. He started the year on Horizons. We finished almost all of book 1. So yeah, we're not quite finished. And it was the same thing. Now, he is capable. My older daughter was doing this, and she just was not capable of doing some of the math. She was not capable of not breaking down when she looked at the amount of problems within the book. It just was too much for her. My son, on the other hand, is capable in the math department. He's able to do the math that was in this book. But the amount of problems, he is just not a sit-down workbook kind of kid for very long. And so it was too long for him, and it would burn him out. We'd end up fighting every single day, which burnt me out. And so that's just not worth it. So while I love this program, it's a Christian-based program. For those of you who don't know, it is a spiral program, which means it just comes back around, and they're continually putting in the same like concepts rather than mastering it and moving on. And it's super colorful. That's probably one of my favorite parts. So let me see. I know we didn't finish the very back. Here, you can see how comfortable it is, but you can also see how many problems there are for a second grader, essentially, so that's lesson 70. It's all of this page, which isn't too bad, but then all of this page too. And this is where he would lose it here. Doing that many math problems was just too much, and I would cross even half of them out, but he just lost interest by then. He's a go outside and run kind of kid, very hands-on, and so I decided that when we were almost done with that book, that it was probably time to try something different and see if it worked better, and if not, we could go back to that, because that's the joy of homeschooling. So we tried out what my daughter uses, because I know that it is a gentler approach, but more or less it's a less actual sitting time and hands-on work. And he wasn't struggling with the concepts. He was struggling with the amount of time to sit. And so I thought that it would be okay. So we moved him into level 3 math by Master Books. And you can see we made it about halfway. And he loves this. He absolutely loves it. He loves the story at the beginning of each chapter. He likes doing the problems. When we went from Horizons to this, it was like night and day. The things, even the little things he was struggling on, it was like all of a sudden he could do it. And I think the whole time he could do it, he just didn't want to do it because there were so many. And in here, there was only 5 problems of like, subtraction or something instead of like the 15. So it was almost that similar problem that my older daughter had, and just looking at it was too much intimidation. And so he did this, and he loves it. And so we're going to stick with Master Books for him, at least for the foreseeable future. It really is a gentler approach if you have a student who does not sit well for a long period of time and do book work. I mean, math is kind of book work. You can do games and you can do flashcards and those types of things to a point, but there is usually some kind of testing skill to find out if they're doing okay, and it is some kind of book work. And so he really did enjoy this, and it worked much better for him. So we're going to stick it out and continue using it in the new year. Handwriting was his absolute favorite. He only was in his level 1 book. So like I said, he's not in one certain grade. And he is left-handed, and I think that's why it's just taken him, and he's a boy, so sometimes it takes boys, at least in my family, knowing my personal brothers, because I'm much older than them, and my nephews and things. It just, in our family, I don't know if it's like that for yours, boys tend to take a little bit longer than the girls in some aspects, and one of them was writing. We have a few left-handed boys, my son included, and he just, fine motor skills were very, you could tell he was definitely left-handed. He always used his left hand for his fine motor skills, but it took him a little bit more to get them down, and so his writing has definitely improved. He loves this curriculum. We started originally way back in the day with my oldest using Handwriting Without Tears, and we switched this a couple years ago, and there is no looking back. They just absolutely love it, especially in these younger years, and so we're going to continue using it. So I will be sharing what he's using, but again, I'm kind of giving you a little preview. He's probably moving into level 2 of this for next year. For language arts, we did start that this year. Last year, we kind of just did, if you followed my reviews from last year, we just worked on different concepts. This year, we actually moved into book. Last year, I very much limited book work. So this year, you had a much heavier book workload in general. And so I didn't want it to be too much and too difficult because, like I mentioned, it's 95 and he's outside today. He just likes to be outdoors. He likes to be moving. Don't worry, he's being hydrated and taking breaks, but he just likes to keep going. He does not like to sit. And so I didn't want something that was going to take him a ton of time to sit down, that it was going to end up being a fight again, but I wanted to get it in. And so we went with language lessons for a living education. This just hits on those points, like those nouns and there's verbs and making them plural and doing those types of things. It also has spelling in it. Now, my older girls do not use this for spelling. They have other spelling curriculums that they use. My son was not ready at all for spelling last year. He struggled with reading, so when you can't read, doing spelling is just kind of redundant and not for him at that period. He needs to be working on his reading skills. And so we decided that he could do the small spelling in here most of the time. Most of the time it wasn't very difficult, and so he could work on that. And so that's what he did for spelling. We did not add any kind of list curriculum or anything like that for him. I also love the fact that this has things like poetry in it. It has picture study. It has all of those things that I love from Charlotte Mason. And because my kids work in different time frames, I just can't seem to pull them together to work on that in a group aspect. We've tried, it hasn't worked. And so I love the fact that they're getting that individually, even though I know Charlotte Mason is more of do it as a family approach. It just doesn't work for us. But I do want to still incorporate those things, and to do it with each individual child would take me forever. And so I love the fact that it's kind of worked into this curriculum. So we do, he did really enjoy this enough to not fight about it. We didn't get as far in it as I would have liked, because this is one of those things, if he was fighting about curriculum, we did math, the 3 R's, writing, arithmetic, and reading, and I didn't worry about the other stuff as much. So we didn't get as far in this as we would have liked, but we have worked on a little bit over summer, and those things just keep coming back up. You know how it works. So I'm sure we will probably continue using that. We'll find out in the next video, because I'm not sure yet. Now, science. He worked the first half of the year, I would say, through Evan Moore's Daily Science. He liked this. It's very, if you aren't familiar with it, it just picks a topic and it has 5 days on that topic. It's very black and white. It's very just to the point and filling it out. About, I don't know, a little over halfway through, he decided he didn't really enjoy it as much anymore. And his sister was done with her science, and she begged to do science every day. I don't know why. She loved science. I don't know if it was the book she was in, or she just is going to be a science type of child. I'm still kind of trying to figure that out. But so I decided to order her another book. And when I did that, I went ahead and ordered him a book too. And they both just started working on the Gauze Design Life for Beginners series. Now, there is a big difference between this book and the Not for Beginners book. They definitely work on the same concepts, but the other book is a lot more reading. It is a lot more in depth, and it was not something he was ready for in second grade, and not in third grade either for him. My daughter, when she was in third grade, probably would have been ready for the secondary book, the Not for Beginners set. But he definitely will not be, and so we will continue working on this, I believe. But it was definitely a great fit for him. He loved it. It is writing in your book, where the other book is a lot like Masterbook style. It has a student text that you read and then a teacher's guide that has work pages that go with it. This is very much the younger workbook style, which is exactly what worked for him. And he begged to do this science. This science he ended up fighting about. This science he loved to do. So we will not be going back to Evan Moore. The other thing I don't love about Evan Moore, and I don't notice it so much in the younger grades for science, because I do love Evan Moore. For science, for our family, in the younger grades, I don't notice as much. In the older grades, I started to find things that I had to cross out and tell my kids, this isn't true, so we're not going to work with it, or we're going to discuss this and why it's not true. But being in a textbook, I feel like it should be true, opposed to just something we come across. And so doesn't work from a biblical perspective. And so it's just not ending up to be a good fit for our family. And so we have used this for years. We love Evan Moore in many aspects. We're going to continue to use Evan Moore next year in some different things, but we will be moving away from this science and more towards something with a biblical perspective, biblical worldview, whether it is master books or something different. So we definitely preferred this year to Evan Moore, but this is very quick, very easy, very open and go, and it's just like simple worksheets, nothing very difficult. So whichever would work for your family. This definitely, though, does have a biblical worldview. This definitely does not. It would fit better for a secular home, in my opinion. And the very last thing we did this year was My Story 1. And he loved this. This was one of those things I didn't anticipate to do. And if we were going to leave something, we would leave this to the end. And he would hustle up some days to get his other stuff done just to do this. Like, he really enjoyed it, which surprised me because it was bookwork in general. But he really loved doing it. It was very short lessons. He would offer to do multiple lessons a day. He loved the word searches in it. He didn't mind the coloring pages. He didn't like nor hate them. It was just there, and he did them. He loved reading the stories. He loved the discussion for this, which discussion is not usually his thing. He absolutely loved this, and it shocked me. And so I would definitely do this again. I'm definitely planning to use it for the sibling that's coming after him. This program was really interesting to me. It was the first time that we used it. It was very open and go, very easy, very, very short. It was easy to do 2 or 3 lessons in a day if we really wanted to. So I would highly suggest this book as well. They do have a K. I heard there was always 1 and 2, and I just heard they're coming out with K for this year. Now, I don't have any more kindergarten students, but that might be something to look into as well if you have a younger student. So that is what he used this year. I'm really excited to show you guys what he's going to be using in our upcoming year. I am trying to get these videos out for you guys. We were doing double camps all week and homeschool meetups in the afternoon, and our summer's just been crazy trying to cram in every last minute of things that we can while we're enjoying the sunshine and the good weather before we really buckle down and get back into our bookwork. So I apologize that they're coming out a little slower than I anticipated, but if you guys like these kinds of videos, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe down there if you guys are new, and I will see you all next time. Bye.